Hi, it's Nancy standing in the rain and welcoming you to Garden Scrub. Today is May the 3rd, and this is the season of the most blooms in the garden. Not only my garden, but I'm pretty sure everybody's garden. That April showers bring May flowers, and we kind of missed all the April showers. We have not had any good soaking rains yet, but I'm still hoping for those and trying to plug along. But actually I have gotten so overwhelmed. I had to take a couple of days off to do other things, and I purchased some little gifts for my mother's birthday and for my fourth generation great niece, and so I was excited and happy to get to do that. But I got behind in the garden, and I kind of think I stay behind in the garden. There's just so much to do, but it's been beautiful. There's been lots of wonderful things. But after I got all that for my mother on the day of her birthday party, I got up and came out here and got busy. I thought, now I finally have the time to work, and I've got to get back into my routine, because for some reason it's hard for me to get out of a routine. And so I was trying to get back in my routine, and at 2:30, well, the party was at 2, but at 2:30 my sister called me and asked me where I was, and I told her, and or she guessed, it was in the garden. And she said, well, I thought you might be at my house for Mom's birthday party. And I just went spastic, because I'm like, what did I do? And I still have no idea what made me totally forget that. It's scary. But anyway, that's what happened. But I jumped up. My husband was right there with me. He loves my mother. And we took off. And we did get to her party late. My niece Lacey, who her mother says is cut from the same cloth as me, she waited for me. Her and her family waited for me, so that was wonderful. And I'm sorry I missed everybody else. I would have loved to have seen everybody that came. But I got to give my little gifts to Mama and spend a little time with her, and that was great. And even though we've missed the rains, we have had cooler weather, and so that's been good for the new little plants that I put in. But then again, the seeds, I put several more seeds in pots, and I need to do some more, but I'm not sure it was good for them, because they need that sun to germinate. I have several Sweet William blooms today. I love the Sweet William. They stay in bloom for quite some time for a perennial, and they come back every year, and I just love them. My husband loves them too. There's a few plants he likes enough to point out to me. And this elderberry, black elderberry bush is blooming. Even this pretty little miniature red rose is blooming today. And this is more of the Sweet William. And I'll show you that some of my seeds are coming up. And here's more of the seeds. Or I should say seedlings now. I did get a few more of the pots. I had to take out a lot. This one you can tell that plant food I used just kind of almost took it out too, and it did take out several that I put in there. Although this little fuchsia seemed to have loved it, so I should have just read on there and done it correctly to begin with, but I didn't, and I lost some plants, and I hate that. As a matter of fact, I looked for some more like them and couldn't find them. But the season of shopping for plants is not totally over for sure. It'll be going strong through May and even part of June, unless the weather turns so hot they can't keep it open, or there's no reason to keep it open. But I found this pretty Persian shield, I told you I cannot. These things always turn. If you can see those kind of green without much purple there on the end or the bottom, that's how the whole thing will turn for me most likely. But you know, you're snared by the words of your mouth, so I'm going to say that I certainly hope that doesn't happen, and that this little one will stay bright, beautiful purple throughout the season. I also purchased some more these are white, and some of them died out, so I'm going to replace at least 2 of these. Haven't looked on this back yet, but I think they're all there, hopefully. So, but I did get a few more of those and some of the red star. So hopefully I'll get to fill up the ones that I've got started, and they'll be able to keep going the color that I had them. And I put some flowers in this little pot. I'm reserving this back part for some of my coleus that I have right now. They're getting acclimatized. And oh, look at this little rose. I think it's dead. And I hate that so much. It came back. It was looking good. I don't know really what happened to it. I didn't put any of that food on it. So I don't know for sure. Oh my, I can see what happened to it. Can you? Can you see? This is probably what happened to it right here. Snails. I really do hate those things. Oh, if there's any life at all left in there, I hope it will live. I think I might pull that out to where it gets more sun. Maybe that will help it. And this little rose is blooming today also. But we have still graduations to go to, birthday parties to go to, family things that I really do want to do. I hope to get to be a part of our children and grandchildren and niece and nephew, and you know, great niece and nephew and great great niece and nephew. I'd like to be a part of their lives as long as I can. I had to refill this little pot. Most everything died out of it, and I will put some coleus in this pot too. Hopefully that's the plan. The Cinco de Mayo rose has really filled out in bloom since the last time I showed you. Everything is just looking so good, and I'm grateful for that, but I've really got to get busy. But I just wanted to show you just a little bit more of this wonderful blooming season. And I'm going to see if I can go right back here. These are about to go. The blooms are, but you can see that there's some of these just really soft pink roses back here too. And I had filled this little pot up last fall with these plants, but they did not make it in this pot. But I put some more in there which came up where I didn't want them again. So they'll probably come up there again because it's just so hard to get all that root. But I needed to move it, and because it's becoming a problem. And I just thought I'd try to keep some. Sometimes you can do that if you find a plant that's just becoming aggressive and choking out your other plants. Sometimes you can put them in a pot, unless they of course have seeds that fall down all around it or the birds carry everywhere. Those, I don't know what you can do other than go ahead and make a decision whether you want that or whether you want to get rid of them. Look at this beautiful little rose here. This is called Ebb Tide. It kind of changes color. You can see those two colors are a little different shade, but they're always pretty. And this is another little pot where everything, practically everything but this died out, and I had this in there last year. But anyway, it's going again. I left a little bit of the root of this dianthus, but it most likely will go ahead and die. Look at this little pot. Its seeds are coming up and looking great, and some are coming up in this one down below it. Look at this beautiful white peony, and right above it there is the Joseph Coat rose. My husband put this in for me last year, and it's doing so great. I love this color anyway because it's so many colors. I need to trim these spent ones off, but look where these that were the color of this one, where they are dying back. Now the yellow are coming on, are the ones with more yellow in them. But it's always a beautiful rose. I'm going to try to get one of those started from mine for my niece. I don't think I think this is called red, but it's kind of more of a really bright, beautiful shade of pink to me. But it's blooming and looking great, along with all the peonies, which of course will soon need to all this be cut off of them. You can tell they're getting more and more spent, so it won't be long to where they'll be gone. All the pretty peony blooms will be. This is called Keys of Heaven. This frilly little plant right here. And you know, any plant that has a lot of little tiny flowers that make up a big flower are always butterfly attractors. And that little butterfly just stepped right in to prove the point. And I'm soon going to have a coneflower right here. And these little roses are looking good. I think I've already shown some of them to you, but this one, I think it's called the 4th of July rose. And this little rose is just a pink. It's such a beautiful, like almost a salmon pink. And more of the pretty peonies. And I dug up the two that I'm going to give to my daughter, and they're ready to go when she will meet us at my grandson's graduation. This is the Sarah Bernhardt peony, and more of the pretty white with a little yellow tuft in the center. Both of these bloomed, and I may be repeating myself. I've had a pretty hard couple of months actually, but they're so beautiful. I always think you'd probably like to see them twice. I certainly like to come out and see them as many days as I can before the bloom fades away. And we trim, my husband and I trimmed 6 bushes, and I want to get out here and get this one trimmed too really soon. I don't know if I'm going to get around to that today, simply because I've got other chores in the garden I've got to take care of. I've got some little plants that have been waiting and waiting. I've got some of them planted, but not all, so I've got to get back to that job. But I want to get that trimmed soon, because you know you must trim your bushes right after their bloom, or you'll risk cutting off the bloom that they're putting on for next year. This is called Dew-Tell Peony. It is totally one of my favorites. It's probably my second favorite, simply because the Bowl of Beauty, it was one of my first, I think it was my first peony, and I fell in love with it, and I decided I wanted many more of those, so I put them all down this side of the fence. The clematis, and then in between those there's daylilies. So this does have some bloom right up until fall, and I'm trying to get some fall colors going in the little pots. This one here in the center has Russian sage, Russian sage, is in this little pot, and it's kind of hidden. It's right behind that bright pink Sweet William. And then the end pot has mums in it, so hopefully we'll have a little bit of fall color back here too, even after the summer daylilies go away. And this will just all be green soon because these beautiful iris are also going away. They just don't stay very long. And of course we'll have to trim this after it stops blooming, but this is a flowering orange bush, and it's very pretty right now with its pretty white bloom. I think this is a pretty color, little iris. Let me get close to one of them so you can kind of tell all that pretty color. My mother gave me this little tree. I think it's maybe called a privet, and I think it may be aggressive or even invasive in some areas, but it's so pretty. And it brings the butterflies and all the things that love these little soft, tiny flowers. It smells nice, and as long as it's not a problem, I'm going to keep it. Someone still loves them. I saw one at Lowe's for over $300. It wasn't as big as mine, and Mother gave me this one when it was just a tiny little piece off of hers. It is at its prettiest when it's in bloom. I also did get my shepherd's hooks sturdied a little bit more and tied onto a rebar with, of course, a zip tie, and I'm hoping that will hold those up better for me than the way I had it before, as well as this little plant stand here beside it or in front of it. And I've got plants ready to go out. I just need to bring them out, and I think this might be one of the best times to do it while the weather is still well, I was going to say cool, but it's not really cool. It's pleasant. But you know, that hot sun will come along and take some of that pleasantness right on out. So I need to go ahead and get them out here so they can get used to it a little at a time, hopefully, and make it. And I see that I have some lilies in full bud. It won't be long till we have blooms here also. I fixed some of my hoses. You can tell this is not one of them. Look at that. Guys are coming out of there. I'll either have to fix that or just completely take that hose off and restring another one out here and try again. If I could just get it to where I could get a soaker hose to work, it would certainly save me a lot of work out here hand watering everything. And it would be much better for my little plants, but I'll just have to do the best I can with them and hope that I can get that done. And I know there's other things that you can use, but they do not work for me. I just have so much gypsum in the water that it just builds up like rock. It just becomes like chip rock. That's what it is. And it clogs up everything and does it in quick time. So it's just, I've tried it all. It hasn't worked for me. And so this is what I'm trying now, if I can ever get it to work. Because some of the hoses, the holes, of course, do great. Others do this. But when it does this, that's just the end of this hose being able to do really much of anything but drown things out, which is not what I want. This is one of the little bushes that my husband trimmed for me, and he always, before today, or when he did this was day before yesterday, I believe, and when he did it, he usually says, Are you sure you want me to trim it this much? But this time he knew, so he just chopped it off. But if I don't get it at least this small, it will grow so much that by next spring when it blooms, it'll be so out of my path I can't walk by it. So I like to keep it where it will look good and do well in the spring for me when it blooms, because that's its time to shine. I lost one of my little coleus that was in this pot, and this other one I thought I was going to lose it, and I may still, but I don't think so. I think it's going to go ahead and come out of it. That's great. Did I show you that I did get my little green barberry in the ground? I can't see it well from the front yet, but hopefully it's going to show up when it gets bigger. And even if it doesn't it just look cute even right there if you don't see it? But when you come by this little one path, and it looks so good contrasted with this pretty smoke bush. So I have coleus and little seedlings trying to get comfortable with the elements, the outside elements. Look at this. This is my, I started these from seed. They're the scarlet runner beans. Taking off and trying to go. So as soon as they get where they can handle it, I'll be putting those outside to go up my bean pole in the back. And for today, these tiny little pots right here are my goal, to get those filled up. I'm planning on putting in patience and maybe leaving a spot for those coleus when they get a little more acclimatized. And I'm hoping that those snails will not bother them. I'm so tired of that. And I have sprayed for them. Those things just don't, they seem so hard to knock back, where they'll just leave things alone. But this one is looking great. And this is one of my little baby coleuses that I started. Looking good. These, oh my goodness, these are my begonias that I love so much. I think they're trying to come out of it, but I must have put some of that other food on it too, and they're not looking good. I hope they make it. Today is May the 4th, and we are finally getting some rain. We missed our April showers, but we're getting them in May, so that's still great. I got quite a bit of my little pots filled up yesterday, but I didn't finish by any means, so I'll still have to work on that. I tried this with some verbena and it just didn't make it, so I'm trying impatiens. I guess it just doesn't get enough sun for the verbena maybe. But it's so good to hear and to see the rain. Today is May the 8th. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about what I've been doing. I think I have, I'm sure I planted a few plants, but mostly I've been planting seeds. And some of my seeds are coming up and some of them are not. So I don't know exactly which ones now I have seed in and which ones I don't. But I'll just wait and see what we've got, and then I'll add as I go. But do you find that planting seeds takes a lot of time? Because I do. I don't see how it can take so much time actually. I just sprinkle the seeds down and toss some seed starting mix right on top of them and wet them down. But for some reason, well, one thing, you have to find your seed and decide which kind you want to use in a pot. But it just seems to take so much time. Much more than I expect it to anyway. And I've had so many of my little plants that just didn't make it. I'm pretty sure I already showed you this, but the verbena in the front and the back are doing okay. The verbena on either side are dead, so I'll have to put something else here if I haven't already put some seed in there that may or may not be going to come up. So it's kind of discouraging right now, but mostly that's because I'm just too tired. And here's another thing that's really discouraging is this one that I redid is already gone. I'm pretty sure a snail has got it. This one beside it, and I may have already shown you this too, but this one seems to be doing fine. I hope it just continues on to do fine, because these were doing fine yesterday, and they look a little stressed, to say the least there. So I'm hoping for the best. We'll just have to see what will happen on this. I noticed that seeds are coming up in this little pot, but not in the one right under it. And then the one under it, there's seeds coming up. But the one on the bottom, I don't see any seeds. We may have to redo at least part of this one too. And then I forget which colors I put in there. So I'd kind of like to put the same color back in it if I could know what it was. I did not keep a record. But either way, it'll be pretty. But I just had specific. I think I meant for this one to be yellow and pink, which I like that combination of color. But I'm not sure that's what I did. Sometimes I can't find my pink ones or my yellow ones when I'm trying to do them together. So I'm not sure what this is going to do, but we'll find out if it does anything. And of course I still have some pots that don't have anything in at all, and I'll remedy that as soon as I can. But I have a couple of graduations to go to at a birthday party, and I'm just not sure when I'll get around to that. But I had started some little roses for my niece Lacey, and none of them made it. I started them in the late fall, almost winter though, and then took them inside, and I don't do well with house plants. So today what I did was get her some more started, and I know these will wilt down, they just will, but while they're wilting they'll be building a root, and then hopefully they'll pick themselves up and go. So that's what we're hoping for, and I'll take those to her. These little plants were my flowering ginger, and they looked so pretty. They were variegated, beautiful colored foliage, and then I was anxious to see the beautiful bloom along with that foliage, but I thought they looked dead. So today one of these is supposed to be for my sister Kathy, and I'm pretty sure my sister Rosie's died too, because these are dead. I went ahead and dug up the root just to see if it might be alive, and it's just as limp as can be. I don't think there's any life there at all, so I didn't do well with that. But I don't do well with houseplants. But I think what I should have done with these was just put them in a dark room or closet and left them there, and not tried to keep them lightly watered, because I think they just drowned out. And I didn't put much water on these, but evidently more than they wanted. And of course I'm sad to see all three of them go. I wanted so much to have one, and two of my sisters that I know would have loved it to have one, but it just didn't work out. Perhaps we'll try again someday. And a lot of my peonies and roses both have stopped their blooming, and today I actually trimmed a bunch of them off. I still lack probably half or more of the backyard trimming them, but I got several trimmed. I got Lacey's little Rose is trying to make starts again, and we'll just see how it goes. Look at this beautiful catnip, and the butterflies and bees have been all over it. Please be sure to like and to subscribe to the channel.